Hello, everyone. Welcome. I appreciate you being here with me today. My name is Janet Sherritt, and this is Fruit of the Vine Art Studio, and I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am going to be making a watercolor card today. Now, I have the most basic of tools when it comes to doing those things. I don't I do purchase some of the more expensive stuff, but for doing just something along this line, I have just a watercolor set that came from Michael's. It's just very basic. It's got a couple of variations of different colors of green and red and blue. So that was why I purchased that. And it's a very good little set for the money that I spent. I'm going to be using one sheet of watercolor paper. Now this is a 140 cold press 140 weight cold press watercolor paper. I'm going to be using that, the basic watercolor set. I'm going to be using some micron or micro line pens, whatever you may have. You want to make sure that they are definitely permanent pens. I created another one earlier this week playing around, and I didn't make sure that it was a permanent pen, and it really kind of blurred and darkened up everything. So I'm not looking for that effect. It didn't ruin the card. Actually, it came out perfectly fine. But, just my opinion, you're better off using the permanent pen when you go to do something like this. Now I've printed out my example so I can have that nearby and see that I'm trying to make it look the same for you guys as I did when I showed my sample. So now I've also taken my paper. This is that page from the watercolor paper, and I've folded it in half to make a card with it. Now this is going to be bigger than a 5x7 card, so you will end up cutting off a portion across the bottom in that case. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and just fold it in half and put that down. I'm going to be using some painter's tape to hold my card in place and to try to keep a nice crisp line or edge around the outside of it. So some painter's tape, and I'm also going to be using either a white acrylic marker or water-based marker, something like that in white. I've got a couple different ones. Sometimes they give me trouble and they don't want to work, and if that's the case, then I'm just going to get some white paint out and do that if I have to in the end, because it's just for the little fun white lines that you add to, just kind of make it pop. So without any further ado, now I know that a few people would ask, well, when you print out that template that I get, it's a full page. How am I going to use that on half a sheet of a watercolor paper? Well, what I do is I set my printer for a 5x7. Now, if you don't have that option, you would take that that regular size, and you would put it at 65%, 75%. Either one of the two will work for what we're doing here. And then you want to know, well, okay, I've got it printed now. How am I going to get it off of this piece of paper onto my watercolor paper? Because you don't want to print it from your printer unless you've got, a laser jet with permanent ink. You wouldn't want to print that template onto your watercolor paper. Well, what I do is I do old school stuff, guys. I try to make it as economical and as easy as I possibly can. I don't buy graphite paper and things like that, but, carbon paper. For me, I found that carbon paper leaves marks on things that I really don't like. So I'm so old school, what do? I get a pencil, and I turn my paper over, and I scrub the pencil on the back of the paper. I make a graphite transfer, just like we learned when we were kids in school. I make graphite transfers. That way it's simple, it's easy, and it doesn't require a whole lot. So without any further ado, I'm going to show you how I transfer this on to the watercolor paper. So let me tilt you down a little bit and zoom you in just a smidge so that you can see a little bit better what we're doing here today. There, I think that looks pretty good right there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the template itself, and I'm going to set it on top right here, right on the top of my card. I want to make sure I've got it straight, or fairly straight anyway. It's not one of those things that's so technical that I have to worry about it being perfectly straight, but basically centered. You know what I'm looking for. And then you're going to take a pen. Now, you know, you want a nice ballpoint pen. So, and this template has lots of extras all over it that we're not going to be worried about. I'm not going to do every one of these single little dots and all this stuff and all these things. This doesn't require that at all. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the most basic parts of it. This right here, just kind of little humps. 3 little humps. This doesn't have to be exact in any way whatsoever. And then, like, even with this particular flower, there's so many different little things on it. I'm basically going to do the shape of the flower itself. And if you look at it, it's kind of made like brackets in a way. I kind of just make mine a little bit different and bring it to a bit of a point on the edges so that it becomes an actual cactus. Mine's not a flower, it's actually a type of cactus. This particular cactus is commonly called a molded wax plant, or what was the other name of it? A wax agave is what I'm going to do with my flower. These are flowers. I'm making this a wax agave. Which I think that, what is that technical term? Puntia coloratica is the actual name of that particular cacti. My mom was wonderful with plants. She always had a wonderful green thumb. She could grow anything, and succulents were one of the things that she grew very well. Unfortunately, I did not inherit that green thumb, or I can grow lots of things, but for some reason succulents just challenge me. Seriously challenge me. I have trouble with succulents. I've tried growing donkey tails, which that particular thing, I think these are donkey tails is what I'm thinking these are. I'm not exactly sure, but that's what they look like to me. I tried to figure out what each of these cacti were. Like, is this a barrel cactus right here? I do believe that it is some sort of a barrel cactus. So that's what I'm calling this. This is the barrel cactus. Now, I'm not putting any of the lines or any of that stuff on the inside of that either. Same with this pancake cactus right here. Or prickly pear. I know that's another name for this particular cactus, the prickly pear. I'm not going to put all them dots inside of there. There's no need for that. We can get to that when we start finishing up, because that's when you need those. And you don't have to go back and draw those dots on there. You just draw dots on the cactus itself. Okay, so now we've got all of this drawn. We're just going to do this little molded wax plant right here. And I kind of give it a little point in the middle. Kind of bring it up and bring it over like I'm drawing a bracket, up and over. You can see it was sort of drawn that way. So it's just a slight variation on the actual template itself. I'm just making it a little bit different there. And the only thing I'm doing in this pot is I'm going to draw the hearts. And you really don't even have to do that, but I'm just gonna put them on there. They're kind of elongated hearts. Okay, so now I've drawn everything that was on here. Not everything, I take that back. I did not draw everything on here. I drew part of what was on here. But I want you to see how it transferred. See how well that shows up? It shows up really well. Very simple, too. So now the next thing you're going to want to do is get yourself your pen. Not your pen. Get your micron pen. I'm sorry. Get your microns. Now I'm going to use the 05. And I'm just going to go over these lines so that it'll show through a little bit better. Should just take a couple of moments to get this on here. See, I'm kind of giving it just sort of a little bit of a point in the middle, like a bracket. Very simple. And that's, I'm not going to be too worried about the shape of these either. They just kind of have a little bit of a alternating appearance. That's why I think this is a donkey tail. Little donkey tail cactus sticking up right in there. And this, I'm not even sure. I think it could be a leaf. We're going to color it green. Anyway, you look at it. Whatever it is, it's going to be green, guys. These little curly cues coming down through here. They're kind of segmented here. And then it just kind of starts becoming little humps. Okay, very simple, very quick. And I am actually not even, I'm just trying to put them in the same places. I'm not trying to draw the same hearts that I drew. Put that there. Make that little thing in the middle. Very quick, very simple. These little barrel cactus. Prickly pears. Oop, I didn't get that shape just right, but that's all right. That's also known as an Oklahoma cactus as well. And then you can, if you want, you can erase some of the lines if it shows too much, like maybe this one right here and right there. But I'm really not too concerned about the extra pencil lines being in places because it's all going to get colored in anyway. So, you know, if you want to hit up where it might be a little bit on the outside where you, like, missed this completely. Yes, I did. That's all right. We are not here for fine art. We are here for fun art. That's right. We're not worried about making mistakes. We're not worried about perfection. What we are thinking about is relaxation and enjoyment. That's what we're doing here, right? That's right. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tape, and let me see, that should be plenty long enough. Now this one I'm going to place higher than all the rest because, like I said, this is bigger than a 5x7, so I am going to be trimming the bottom of this card to make it smaller. So I'm barely going to have any of the blue actually past the card on the bottom right here. What I mean is that this is just a very small area at the bottom of the tape. Now, you don't want to press that tape. I mean, a lot of people press on it. I don't want to press it too hard because it does stick to this paper if you press on it real hard. So I'm going to pull this right up here. Now, on this side, I'm going to make it about 1/4 of an inch on the white. That looks about straight. And this is such a fun design. I really hope that you are enjoying yourself this week with all the different ladies that we have, or all the different presenters that we have that are doing something different with this fun and simple design. There's so many ways to do it. I mean, you could watercolor, you can do pencils. I watched Christine Dior do a pencil drawing the other day that was just phenomenal. Cactus Blues was, everyone that I've watched so far has been extremely impressive. The ladies are just really, really showing you what all can truly be done with this design. Okay, so now I've got my tape on here, and we're going to go ahead and start with some paints. Now, mine has 2 different greens that I'm going to be using. I'm going to use this pink as opposed to the red. And that's really the only colors. Well, yeah, I do use this tan and a sky blue for the background. Other than that, that's really the only colors that you're going to want to have. It's 2 different colors of green, some sort of a color of a pink or a yellow. Yellow would be fine for your flowers too. I want the pink to go on the tips of my, excuse me, of my wax agave. So I want the pink for that. And I am using, I believe it's a number 8. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a number 6. I use a number 6 on this. Let me just set this over here out of the way and get these markers and pencil off of the area. Okay, so to start with, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of start here in this area with some dark green. So I'm going to just dip my brush in the water and go to the dark green. And I'm not going to wet this first. I'm just going to take the dark green and I'm going to start working it in here. And I'm going to try to move more of the concentrated areas towards this edge. Go back, get me a little more water, back into the dark green again. And I'm going to do this one. And I'm just basically kind of scrubbing it on here. And we'll put it about that far. Now I want this to be darker on the back here behind. So I'm going to bring some more right along here. Deposit more color. Go me a little more paint, and I want it to be darker back here because this plant is in front. The wax agave is in the front, so we want to have this darker back here because this is where the shading is going to be, the shadows. So we're going to drop concentrated amounts of paint right there. Okay. And then while that's drying, we're going to go ahead and take some of it right down here, and we're going to just fill in these fun little donkey tail leaves. Segments. They're not, well, I think they're segments. Sections, segments, something along that line. And maybe it's not even a donkey tail. I don't know. It's whatever you want it to be. You know why? Because you're the one doing it. So, in this particular case, these babies are donkey tails. And you can just kind of loosely go along. You don't have to worry about it being exact. This little guy, we're going to do him with the dark green too. And we can just leave little puddles of the paint on there. It's not going to hurt anything. It'll just give it a variation as it dries. And I'm going to take it right over here and do this little fella too. There we go. Then we're going to rinse this off. We're going to get into the lighter green, and we're going to do the prickly pears. And now this plant is growing right up out of the top of the other one. So there's going to be a concentration of the color towards the bottom of it. And then as you can see, our shading's on this side, so we want to put a concentration of the color on this side. Get a little more water. Kind of making it a curved area coming up over here. There's that little pancake, and then we'll kind of push it down to the bottom. Drop some down right there, right along that side. Concentrated on this side. pushing the paint over to this side so that it'll make a natural shading by itself. And this one's going to be just a little bit darker anyway because he's sitting back here behind the wax agave. And he's also on the darker side of the pot. So, hi Janet. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate that. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're having a beautiful day. I'm here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Where are you watching from? I'd love to know. We're having a day that's going to be, about 86 degrees, 87 degrees, something like that. So it's not going to be one of those unbelievably hot days. It's going to be just kind of a perfect day, I guess, is the best way to look at it. Okay. So now for this, I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. I'm actually going to start with wetting the flower area. Oh, it's got a little green in it, but that's all right because it's going to end up being a green flower anyway, or I mean a green succulent anyway. And I'm going to get my pink. I'm going to just touch it right at the little pointiest point of each. Oop, I want it to get into that water a little bit so that it spreads itself out. And I'm doing it right at the tip of the brackets. Those little brackets I was talking about when I was drawing them, just put it right at the tips of the brackets. Just like that. I don't know if you can see it well. Minnesota? You're getting ready to do canvas painting? Ooh, how fun. How fun. I think that might help a little bit, pull you in just a little bit closer there so that you can kind of see what I did. Let's do the same thing with this one. I'm putting the water on this particular cactus first. Before I use my watercolor paints. And then I'm getting some of the pink. And I'm just, ooh, that one went wild. That's too much pink. We aren't worried about it though. You know why? Because we're going to be adding the green to it. Also, I just want the tips of each little bracket to have a touch of the pink on it. We'll have to fix that one. But we're not concerned. There are no mistakes. We can just lift up a little bit. And we're going to put green over most of it anyway. Oh, got into the green right there, didn't we? All right, we'll quit monkeying with that. Now we're going to, we'll quit monkeying with that now, guys. Quit monkeying with that. Go back to the light green. And then we're just going to kind of bring it in here. Next to the pink. Bringing it just right around up into right where the pink ends. Trying to retain those little pink tips is really all we're looking to keep, is a little tinge of pink on the tip. I did a little painting earlier. I've been doing all kinds of stuff today, honestly, trying to get myself... There, let me get that around right there. I have a kids club that I do every Saturday, and this morning we made a toilet paper tube rocket favors to share with our family and friends for the 4th of July, which was just a really fun little craft that turned out great, actually. That's a little bit thick of the green right there, so I'm spreading that out just a little bit around here. But you're just trying to keep some of the pink along the tip of that one there. Let's see if I can kind of tilt it up a little better. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with this one up here that I've got this crazy looking green mixed in. That I'm going to fix that though. We're not going to worry about it. We'll just bring this green right up through here. Right up to the tip. And you want to do this while this is still just a little bit wet from where you put the water on the paper in the first place. I should have done only one at a time, did the flower down there, and then worked my way up to this one after I was finished with that one. Or not the flower, the wax agave. The cactus. Yeah. Just say it in plain old English, huh? I did get this cactus here painted. I should have done them one at a time instead of trying to do the two at once with the pink. But that's okay. It's still going to turn out perfectly fine. I'm just depositing the green all around where that pink is. Okay, and then I'm going to use a little more of the pink. Get these little flowers up across here. I'm going to put just a touch of yellow at the tip of it. Yeah, maybe I don't see any reason to. They're fine. They don't need no touch of yellow. I'm just going to leave them like this. They look perfectly fine. Okay, so now we've got that part of it done. We're basically getting it going. It's going really quick, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to rinse this off. I've got my water sullied now. I've used both of them. I'm supposed to have one that stays clear, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about it. I'm going to wet this background in a little bit, not too much. Don't want to get that green mixed in it. And I'm going to go into my light blue. No, it's not really a light blue. It's not the sky blue. It's blue. I'm going to go into the blue. And I'm just going to kind of push the color around. I'm not going to worry about every single piece of it getting painted. It'll just be pushed in there. Push it in there. I'm going to push it up closer. Push it down in here. Just touch it in some places. Okay, go back to my water. back to my blue. And I don't know if this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is just the way I do it. I don't, you know, I'm just having fun with it. Bring some of that blue from over there. Just pick it up and bring it over here. I even touched that cactus a little bit, but I'm not scared. It's not going to prick me with its little prickly pear. I'm not afraid of it. Oh, about down to here. We're just making a guesstimate. You see, I'm really loose about it. I'm trying, you just try to have fun with it is really what we're trying to do. We're trying to not make it so you don't need to worry about it. It's fun. It's for the fun of it. And we're just having fun with the design, doing different things with it. You don't want to have it so saturated that your card's going to buckle up, but you want to get some water on there. You want to have fun with it. You want to get the hair out of it. How about that? Of course, if you leave the hair in it, then that just really shows that it was handmade with love, doesn't it? Surely it does. Okay, so just kind of squiggly wiggly. Little such and so forth. And then I'm going to get into my gold. I'm just kind of dragging it up here. Taking the bristles and just pushing the paint up. Whatever's still sitting here wet is getting scrubbed, basically. It's getting scrubbed into it. And then we'll just get a little bit in here. That look about even on the table? Let me look up and see. You don't do much watercolors. I'm really not, I do more acrylics than I do anything, honestly. But I really want to learn more about the watercolors and brush control and stuff like that. I really do. I really enjoy how they look, and they're so fun. And I don't know, guys. I mean, I get myself so caught up that I forget that I'm supposed to be having fun. And I think with watercolors, it's so much easier for me to remember that it's just fun. It's just fun. I'm not as concerned about a lot of times I get really caught up in details and things like that. Like what I'm doing right now. What am I doing that for? I don't need to do that, right? Hey, Kristen. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate that. I appreciate you and Janet both being here. Like what I'm trying to say here is I try to find different things that help me become a looser painter, a less concerned. I don't want to be, totally less concerned, but I feel like when I'm doing acrylics a lot of the time, unless I'm doing some kind of an abstract, I get myself really, really caught up in trying to fix little details. And if I'm doing watercolors, well, since I don't usually do watercolors, and I'm not really exactly sure if this is the proper method, it's just tested and tried by me. This is what I do to do this. This is how I'm doing it, It's more freeing, I guess, for me. The watercolor is a more freeing medium. I have yet to learn how to control it completely, so I guess I don't try to as much as I do like with the acrylics. I really get caught up into, I don't know, trying to make every little thing just perfect. And I've got to get past that. We all do. We have to remember it's fun art, not fine art. Fun art. And especially like these little watercolor cards like this. They're just fun, and they're fun to give to people. They're just something that shows right off that, yes, you made that straight from the heart for them. Happy birthday, happy anniversary, whatever the case is, just for no reason whatsoever, just for the fun of it. Here's a handmade card with a beautiful painting on the front. And you can get cards too. You can get cards real cheap on Amazon made with watercolor paper. I'm just using black. Trying not to get too caught up in it. Just kind of swooping it up and to the side and off to the side and up to the side, back and forth little segments. Draw that little line right there. Trying to keep my hands steady. That can be a challenge in itself. Definitely. That looks like that's going to be a little too much. Let me take a drop of that right there. Okay. Now. We're going to get to the fun in just a little bit here with the white lines and all that stuff. Sometimes I feel like doing this makes it sort of cartoonish looking when I put the dark outlines around things. I guess it would be helpful if I used a smaller brush. But like I said, I'm just trying to have some fun. There we go. Just got to commit to it, you guys. You know as well as I do. Put it down and drag. Put it down and drag, because the more you worry about it, the more crazy it's going to get. Seriously. Let me see. Maybe bring this back from there over to here. Be the easiest way. Just bring it right up the side. There we go. Sometimes it'll make pretty little thin lines for me, and sometimes it doesn't. And I know that's got to do with the pressure and all of that, I know. But just like my art, I am a work in progress, dude. You know, I am still learning. Each and every day, and enjoying it. Come on, little donkey tail. Okay, only one thing left to get. Like a little number 3 in the middle of it there. Just quick little brackets. Okay, now we've got everything outlined. We're going to get one of the white pens here and see what we can do with that. Oops, there's my paints. Without busting the lid. Give them a shake. Okay, and then we're just going to start by just maybe pressing it. Ooh, this one's kind of dried. Are you going to work? Maybe it is. Let's see about this one then. I'll go through 4 or 5 of these things real quick. Yep. Ooh. It's wanting to drop too much now. Just put some fun white little dots on these pancakes. Prickly pears, whatever you call them. Pancakes, prickly pears. I actually looked up the correct name for all of these things. And I forget what it was. It's written down over here somewhere. An Opuntia coloratica. Opuntia coloratica is what we were making right here. And I'm probably not saying that right at all. At all. And then maybe we'll just make a little white line there, and a little white line there, and maybe just a little there, and a little touch here. Okay, now on these guys, we're going to draw a white line from there, all the way up, coming the other direction, coming up the other direction. And then I'm just going to make a V and put a line. A V and put a line. Just putting a little line in the middle. Then on the opposite side, we'll put a couple. It doesn't have to be a bunch. Put this over here, and then maybe one over here. Maybe one up here and one right there. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on this one. We're going to draw a line up to here, stop, and then bring it up to the top over here, and then maybe just put one at the bottom. And there we go. Lots of little pricklies all over that. So that's super simple there. Now on this one, what we're going to do on this is we're just going to put some fun white little stripes right at the edge of the brackets. Just to kind of highlight it a little bit and make it pop. Same with this one. On this donkey tail, we'll just put some of the highlighting. The light's coming on this side. Remember how we did the shading over here. And then maybe just on a couple of the other side. And here we've got some on this. And maybe one on the other side. So over here, we're going to just put some just random lines. Just some fun random lines on there. And I think that's all we need to do to it, guys. I think that's it. We've got it done at this point. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. I want to put some little fun dots. Yeah, let me go back to my watercolor because my planter just looks so plain. I knew there was something else I was going to do. So I'm just going to get into the black. And I'm just going to make like dot, 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 dot. Do them in little groups of threes. Just in little different spots. So that's why I don't draw all the little dots that are all over the template. I just kind of add stuff in as I go. There we go. Now for the big reveal. We're going to pull off the tape. Hi, Robin. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Janet. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's fun. I enjoy making cards for my family. I make all kinds of different cards. I've got one that I've made that I haven't even posted yet. It's for our anniversary. We're going to be celebrating 37 years on Tuesday. So I've made my husband a card. And then his birthday will be in a couple of days after that. So I've got another card I've got to make too. But I enjoy making cards for my family. I make lots and lots of different handmade cards. So, oops, now it's pulling it at the bottom. But that's okay. Like I said, I will be trimming this at the bottom because it's bigger than a 5x7. It pulled that right there. But you can always just take your finger and just get a little bit of hold of it. And peel it off. And rub it down, and then it's not even noticeable. So there you have it. That's how it turned out. That's a much better view of it. I wish I could. I don't have all that stuff you all have where I could see like your face at the same time. I'm not able to hook all that up, but you know, I wish I'd have been able to bring you in closer so you could see while I was actually getting it all painted. But I hope that it turned out good for you. I had a lot of fun. I really appreciate you being here with me. Once again, my name is Janet Sherritt, and I am with Fruit of the Vine Art Studio in Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you for being here today, guys. Bye now.